Buongiorno. Welcome to yet another exciting edition of Meet Your Neighbor. My name is Ron Falconi. I had this idea back in the fall of 2006 where I wanted to invite local personalities, local business people, local politicians to come down to the studio so all of you could meet your neighbor. We have a return guest to the BAT Studios here in Brunswick, Ohio. She came on before as the wife of a congressional candidate, Matt Miller, but you know her now, you know her as Melanie Murphy Miller, who was recently crowned the new Mrs. Ohio 2011. Melanie, welcome back to Brunswick.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Very excited to be back.
That's great. Melanie, can you tell us something about yourself that not everyone knows about?
Oh, put me right on the spot here. Well, if I tell you, then everyone's going to know it. I actually grew up in Brook Park.
Oh, Brook Park.
So I am from Northeast Ohio, born and raised, and now Matt and I live in Ashland.
Okay.
But I have been dancing since I've been a little girl, and love to dance. That's definitely one of my passions. So.
Okay.
Love to do that.
That's
yes.
wonderful. And you're Mrs. Ohio. Can you tell us? I know we've had Matt on the show before. Could you kind of refresh our viewers' memories about Matt and you and your relationship and all that?
Absolutely, sure. Where do we begin? We both live in Ashland.
Okay.
And Matt, actually, the last time we were here, he was working at the Salvation Army. He's now taken a position with the Ohio Department of Transportation.
Oh, okay.
So he is the business administrator for District 3, and it's right in Ashland. So it's very exciting. Even though he works for the state, the district is held right in Ashland. So
probably pretty close to your house, I bet.
Very close, about 5 minutes.
Oh,
so that's
wow.
very convenient. And then I'm still at the Salvation Army. I work as the Youth Ministries Director of our Ray and Joan Core Community Center, work with our young people, and it's so much fun. They keep me very busy.
What are the things you have to do there at the Salvation Army?
Yes, we actually, one of the things I do is I teach dance classes. I teach hip-hop praise, dance, and sacred dance to the children, 6 through 12 years old. I also help lead the praise and worship on Sunday mornings, teach the Sunday school and junior church, and then do all the youth group stuff for our teens and Wednesday night activities for our kids for church as well. So pretty much a little bit of everything there. It's been a lot of fun. But as far as Mrs. Ohio, I was crowned Mrs. Ohio America in February of 2011 in Columbus. And it's been a whirlwind. It's been so much fun. But basically, I represent the married women all throughout the state of Ohio. You don't have to have kids, or you can, and you have to be at least married at least 6 months in order to compete. Like I said, you can have kids or you don't have to have kids. It's held in Columbus. And I've just been on an incredible journey for sure. It's just been, again, the appearance schedule is really whatever I want to make of it, and I'm definitely someone that wants to be busy since I only get 1 year.
You know, we always have grand openings here in Brunswick, and we would love to have you come back and perhaps maybe sing the national anthem at one of our events. Would you be able to be interested?
I would love that. Yes,
Fantastic.
Please let me know. I'm there.
Now, explain running for Mrs. Ohio. What were you a Mrs. something else before you became Mrs. Ohio?
I represented Ashland, so I was Mrs. Ashland. And there is a fee to enter, but there were 7 state finalists at the Mrs. Ohio America. And the competition's a little different than the Miss America and Miss Ohio.
How is it different?
There's not a talent competition. That's the biggest difference. And the other thing that they have changed now is there's a swimsuit competition. All the ladies wear a one-piece, which is very nice. It makes the other women feel more comfortable. For sure. And then the interviews are a little bit different. There are private interviews, but like the Miss America, it's more of a panel, and you get interviewed for about 10 to 12 minutes. This pageant, the interview was more of a conversation like you and I are having at a table, 4 minutes with each individual judge. So that was very fun. They're more like media interviews. And then,
what kind of questions did they ask you?
A lot about your paperwork and your resume, and a lot about the job, and actually a lot of questions about being married, so advice,
of course,
those types of questions. So it was really fun. I had a fun time in the interviews. And then for on stage, there is of course the swimsuit, there's the evening gown, and then there's the on stage question as well. So
do you remember what your on stage question was?
I do. I believe my question was, the pop question was, do you believe that doors are open for you or by you? And my answer was,
that may be a question
you want to save that to the end? But I thought that was very good. For me, I do believe that I think it's sort of both. I do believe that I think God's will be done in our lives. I believe that He's the one that opens the doors, but I do believe it's our responsibility, my responsibility, to be my best so I'm ready to walk through those doors when they are opened, when they're presented. So it's kind of a twofold question.
You kind of had a leg up on some of the other contestants because you were Miss Ohio 2006. Okay, can you explain that whole experience?
Yes, one of the best experiences of my life, and the one that introduced me to my husband, which is why I was able to compete for Mrs. Ohio. But I love being Miss Ohio, and you're right. I had a great experience, and one of my goals since I was Miss Ohio was a good challenge for me to do for the Mrs. Ohio was to get back into shape. And I had a wonderful wardrobe for Miss America, and I had great sponsors, and just like I said, a beautiful wardrobe. So my goal was to be able to fit back into all of those dresses and costumes so that I wouldn't have to spend a lot of money. And so that was my goal. I was able to get down to where I was and felt great, and
cool.
It was good. It was good to set another goal and to work towards it. So.
Now, as Mrs. Ohio 2011, do you have to travel all over the state? And which parts of Ohio have you been to, and which parts of Ohio do you still want to go to?
I would love, I've really been focusing a lot in the central Ohio, the Columbus area, and northern Ohio, the Cleveland area. I haven't been to southern Ohio too much. I really would like to get down there, but some of the things that we've been doing, I've been trying to get the word out that I sing the national anthem, and so we're going to be singing at the Cleveland Gladiators game, the very last game. I'll be doing that. The Columbus Crew, our professional soccer team, and I know in the fall I'll be singing for the Cleveland Cavaliers. So I'm really excited about that. But one of my favorite appearances is, of course, being in the parades. We were in the Red, White, and Boom parade, which there were over 500,000 people in attendance, which is pretty big. But then even speaking to churches and schools, that's something I really am passionate about. Sharing my message about bullying, and I was bullied when I was a kid. So. Just sharing with young people that, how to deal with some of those issues, and that, it's okay because you're going to be able to get through it, and it's going to make you a stronger person for what God has in store for your life. But then even just sharing with young girls the idea of them having a priceless value. And I think a lot of young girls need to hear that today. So it's been a lot of fun, and I do have a wonderful friend that I have met, a mutual friend of Matt and I's, and she's taken on the role as my business manager. So she's been Pam Mowry. I just cannot thank her enough for all that she does. But she's been one that's really been helpful. Since I do have a full-time job, she's been very helpful about helping me with appearances and making phone calls on my behalf. So I feel very blessed to have her in my life.
You must really have a hard time juggling everything with a full-time job, being Mrs. Ohio, being Mrs. Miller.
Yeah, and it is fun though. I love to be busy. I would say if I had children, my own children, it would be very difficult to juggle them all. But I feel very fortunate that, like I said, I do have a wonderful friend that can help me with some of these and help take some of the load off. So. Yeah, and we love it though. I love every minute of it. I love it.
Now, I know we also have some photos that you sent to me, so maybe we can see what.
Sure, let's see what we have here.
What we got here.
Okay.
But like for this one right here, was this? I guess I'm assuming just when you were crowned.
Yes, this is when I was crowned Mrs. Ohio.
Okay.
And we had a great big fan club at Mrs. Ohio in Columbus. The girl that crowned me, her name's Kimberly Miller. She was is from Worcester, Ohio.
That's Mrs. Ohio 2010, right?
2010, yes.
Okay.
She's standing there getting ready to crown me, and there's my handsome husband, Matt.
You and Matt, okay.
So everyone would remember him. He was, all the directors had said he was the most excited husband they ever had. And this is actually at Mrs. America.
This is at Mrs. America, okay.
It's at Mrs. America. Each contestant, I'm standing at my chair with all of the gifts. You can't see all of them, but each contestant brings a gift for each state.
No, you're at a preschool here?
Yes, I'm at a preschool teaching the kids movement and dance.
Okay.
And this was a dream night at the Columbus Zoo. They opened the zoo for the terminally ill patients and children. And so it was a really special night. Met a lot of very special children that night. This is at in Ashland County at the Hillsdale Middle School, speaking to the kids about bullying. They are one of the only schools in the state that have a bullying prevention program.
Wow, you have your name in a billboard here.
I do. There is a billboard. There were 3 of them put up in Ashland. Actually, our mayor, Mayor Glenn Stewart, had put those up throughout because they were just so proud. And this is me in front of the Greenbrier at Mrs. America. And
Well, where's the Greenbrier?
it is in West Virginia.
West Virginia.
It's in West Virginia, White Sulphur Springs.
Okay.
And this is my fan club at Mrs. Ohio. And what was very special is the girl that I crowned Miss Ohio and the girl that just gave up her title of Miss Ohio, who was my first runner-up, were both in attendance. And they're in the back. You can see them. So it was really special to have your other pageant sisters there as well. And like I said, we had our whole family and friends that they were just, I feel very blessed to have such a supportive group of family and friends.
That's wonderful. Now, you mentioned the Greenbrier at Mrs. America.
Yes.
Can you tell us what was it like competing for Mrs. America?
Oh my goodness, it was so
was that
exciting,
like?
so exciting. There were 51 of us, all 50 states, and then the District of Columbia was represented. And this year it was the 35th anniversary, so they wanted to have it at a very special location. And if people don't know, the Greenbrier is actually called America's Resort. And something special about it, a little fact, is it actually was a fallout shelter for our United States Congress.
I remember reading about that somewhere.
So it's very something, it was kept a secret for almost 35 to 40 years, and someone spilled the beans about what it was for. And so if there was any type of nuclear attack, our United States Congress would go there. And so there's bunkers, there's food for people to to stay alive for however long they would need to. I think it was 2.5 years that they would be supplied.
Now, how long were you there at the Greenbrier?
14 days.
14 days.
And I will tell you, I wish I could go back right now. The hospitality was phenomenal. I mean, really true Southern hospitality. The food was amazing. The service was outstanding. It's just such a beautiful place. It was actually built in the 1700s. So there is a lot of American history there. And that was one thing that I found very fascinating, was how many of our presidents had stayed there, which was very neat. But I actually competed with women, their age ranged from 21 to 60 years old at Mrs. America. And I was telling you even before the show that the type of women we had, I mean, just kind of their careers, we had women that were doctors, we had dental hygienists, we had professors, we had television personalities.
Everyone.
We had everything you could think of. So it was just such a colorful group of women, and it was such a different experience than going to the Miss America. I met so many great friends, and my roommate was Mrs. Michigan. So I thought, now why would they put Ohio and Michigan? We're rivals when it comes to football, but we had, like I said, I just made so many incredible friends, and I actually learned how to shoot a gun while I was there for the first time.
You never shot a gun before?
Never shot a gun. So I had great instructors. So it was a special experience.
Did
too.
the 51 of you do any special projects or anything while you were there?
We did. Thank you for bringing that up. We actually participated in Habitat for Humanity.
Oh, Habitat for Humanity.
There was a single mom with 4 children in White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia, and they had never lived in a house ever. And so all of us, we spent a day and we helped build her home. And what was special is we were there right before Mother's Day, and the goal was for this mom to walk into her home on Mother's Day, and she did get that special honor.
That's
so
nice.
it was really, like I said, it made you feel so good to be a part of a project like that.
I forgot to ask you, did you have any special coaches or advisors when you went to Mrs. America? Because I know sometimes you hear stories where sometimes they hire someone to, to advise on clothes or how to answer questions. Or did you have any of that, or because you had experience before, did you just do it yourself?
That's a good question. I really felt this time I knew what worked for me and I knew what did not work for me, since I had gone to a national pageant. And for me personally, I just need people that love and support me and are constantly positive and encouraging. And so I felt very fortunate that I had a wonderful director that all she did was continue to build me up, and she continued to tell me that, Melanie, don't focus on the outward appearance, but focus on your heart, focus on what's going to keep you grounded and centered while you're there. And that was probably the best advice someone could have given me. So but I did have, of course, close people that I trusted with, wardrobe and interview and things like that. So we definitely worked on those things, but I didn't pay for anybody or anything. So like I said, I had a pretty good practice, and I knew what worked and what didn't for me personally.
Before all of this started, can you explain your educational background?
Sure, I would love to. I actually graduated from the Berea City School District, was a graduate of Mid-Park High School in 2004 in Polaris Career Center, graduated from the Medical Assisting Program at Polaris. And then for college, I went to Cleveland State University, downtown Cleveland, and got a Bachelor of Arts in Digital Media and Film Production and a minor in journalism. So it was really nice. For me, it was important that I could stay in my community, so I still wanted to give back and wanted to work because I loved Brook Park, just loved Northeast Ohio, so it was important for me to be able to stay close to home for college.
No, we also mentioned off camera that you did a documentary.
Yes.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, and kind of going back to my work at the Salvation Army, I work with a lot of at-risk young people, and so I was introduced to this documentary. It's called Yellow Roses, and the subtitle is Real Girls, Real Life, Real Hope. And what these gentlemen did, it was a group of gentlemen out of Columbus. Mike Edwards is the director of the film, and he had interviewed women from all over the United States to share their story. And now there was a whole script prepared, but as young women started sharing their story, it became even better. You know, it really just kind of took on a whole new life on its own, the whole project. And so these young women just really just shared the truth about the pressure the world puts on them to look this certain way or to be this certain way in order to be valued or loved, or you need to perform this way, or even some serious issues like abuse. I mean, that is so, we're seeing that happen even more and more in our society today. And really, the whole purpose of this film was to provide hope for these young women that, you know, even though you may feel this way or you've gone through this, it doesn't have to define you. You can have a new beginning and a new life in Jesus Christ. And that's really what the solution is at the end of this film, that all of these women that share, you really get to take a deeper look into some of these girls' lives, but in the end, all of them realize their true value in Christ. And so now we've had such a great response from the documentary film that now there is a box set, a Bible study for girls for 8 weeks, and it's been in such high demand. Now there's one in production for boys as well.
For boys as well.
So it's really a great message, and I've had the pleasure and honor to travel with the director across the country talking about this film and some of these issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are some of the things you like to do for fun when you're not Mrs. Ohio or you're not at the Salvation Army?
Yes, my husband and I, we love movies. We love to go out and see a good movie, and we love to even just go up to the lake, to the water, because sometimes it just seems as though in the busyness of your week or your day, it almost feels like you took a mini vacation when you get to go up to the water. So we love to do that as well.
Well, that's good. That's good. Melanie, as you know, for every guest on the show, I like to play a game of fill in the blank.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. The one thing that I would bring to a deserted island is blank.
First of all, I'd bring my husband, so I wasn't alone. But if I couldn't bring him, I would definitely probably bring my Bible.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay. You seem to express a very strong faith in God.
Absolutely. Absolutely, yes. I don't know what I would be without him. I'd be nothing without him. So.
Okay. When I turned 18, I blanked.
I voted.
You voted?
Yes.
That's
My
right.
birthday was the day before the election, so I got to vote the day after when I was 18 for one day, so it was pretty exciting.
Pretty cool.
Yes.
The best place in the world to go on vacation is blank.
The Greenbrier.
The Greenbrier.
I haven't been a whole lot of places yet, but the Greenbrier sure was quite amazing.
How far is that from here?
It would be about 6 hours.
Oh,
about a
6-hour
six-hour
drive.
drive,
Oh,
maybe
wow.
even less. So it's not too
Okay.
bad.
That's
It's
good.
definitely worth the road trip.
Mrs. Ohio 2011, can you give us any neighborly advice to people who are watching right now in Brunswick, Brunswick Hills, Wadsworth Township, or people watching on the internet right now?
Advice. This is very good.
Neighborly advice.
Well, I will tell you what, one of my life motto is never settle for less than your best. And I've read that when I was in 6th grade, saw it again when I was in high school, and really I think that is really what I have always tried to model my life after, or never settle for less than God's best. So if you do that, I think you'll have no regrets in life, and I think that's really it.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Melanie Murphy Miller, Mrs. Ohio 2011. Thank you for coming down to the
Thank
studios
you so
and
much.
coming back to
I
Brunswick.
appreciate it. So good to talk with you.
My name is Ron Falconi. I am the host of Meet Your Neighbor. I wanted to thank Mrs. Ohio 2011, Melanie Miller, for coming down and chatting with us today. I doubt there's anything more profound to be said. So once again, my name is Ron Falconi. I'm signing off. Ciao.